most gym rats do deadlifts, lat pulldowns, and then like an RDL. They think they're gonna build some devil backy hanma, so sort of like Ujiro back or something. Anatoly has a different approach. Sure, he could do barbell rows. Sure, he could do deadlifts. But he's doing something else. He's doing pull downs, he's doing rows, and he's making sure that he has enough stability to really hit his back, because he wants to develop his back and not his core. I used to have the mindset of deadlift being something that was going to build my back. I mean, I even had it on my back day, which is, there's a whole, of course, everyone knows the debate of of deadlift being on back day or leg day, and I don't think anyone's ever going to solve it. I am on the side of thinking it's a leg movement now, but I used to think it was the best back builder ever. Could it have been because it left my lower back feeling like it was on fire? Yeah, it could have been. But all the back movements I was doing, other than lat pull downs and maybe some rows, I don't even know what I was doing, like to actually benefit me. And I say maybe the rows because I was using the bar that was like this close, where it limits you so much, and you get to here, your back isn't even touching. Your scapula isn't even retracted properly. It's so bad. I wasted so much time doing that, man. I'm not going to let it dwell on me because I learned from mistakes. I'm here to prevent people from making the same mistakes. But I'm going to give you 6 of the most effective back exercises. And the first one genuinely has to be the lat pull down. There is a reason people do this. It works the lats, man. And you could say a pull-up is better, but you'll be wrong. Anyone who says a pull-up's better could argue that there's more stabilization, so there's other muscles at play. But by that logic, what's going to be better at building the lats? Something with better stability and better ability to push it to failure, or something like a pull-up where you're limited by your core? I know which one I'm picking, and I can guarantee that a lat pull down will be like 60% of what's going on, especially if you put it first. Now, of course, there are very different ways to do it. You can let it come up where your lats are still engaged and then bring it back down. I know it looks like half repping. It's not. Because that very top portion is actually our lower chest and biceps. That's actually what's bringing it down. That might be a bit confusing because it's a back day, right? But that's actually what's working. I don't like to perform my lat pull downs though, because there is even better exercise for hitting lats that I'm going to speak about next. And that is the diagonal row, single arm diagonal row. This is something where you get locked in on a bench, you have your hand up to get stability, you're working one side at a time, which is super great at just eliminating, imbalances, which is always a plus. And you're diagonally pulling. So you're basically pulling with your elbow and you're trying to get that to your hip. And you do this, and of course you go to failure, and you keep this in your range. So instead of going all the way up and losing tension, you go to like here, right? You're not going all the way up, and you just bring it all the way down. And these, if you cannot flex your lats, like if you could not have that sort of squeeze, like the chest squeeze, if you can't do that, I guarantee you 2 weeks after doing this, you'll be able to. Also, the lat pump will be absolutely delicious. But this is one of the best ways to develop those lats, man. And lats are going to build up the majority of your width. So why would you not do it? But width is not everything. It's also about thickness. And that's where this next exercise comes in. Now, most gyms will have this one machine which I never used for the longest amount of time. And it is a chest-supported row, which you basically pull like this. And there's also usually like a way to put it like that. And I looked at people doing this, and I thought it was a silly exercise. I thought it was rubbish. I was like, man, I do my cable rows. That's probably the same thing. It's probably better. Oh boy, was I wrong. There's something about not being able to cheat because you're like literally being locked in. There's something about the extra stability when you have this sort of upper back grip. You actually have your elbows as flat as much as possible, but it's usually going to be around there. And you let your shoulders protract all the way forward, and then you bring it all the way back. Oh man, this exercise is brutal. It is going to build your traps like none other. And then once you finish the set, you thought that was it? No, my friend. When you can't get those micro reps out, you're going to start shrugging it. You're going to start shrugging it to failure. And that takes out a few muscles and basically makes it pure trap, because you're no longer focusing on bringing your arm back. You're basically just focusing on bringing the shoulder back. which is what your trap's trying to do. And oh my goodness, the burn on this, the sensation, the pump, all of it goes together in such a beautiful way. And this will build that amazing thickness in your back. But that's not everything. There's still some more we need, and that's where the next thing comes in. And you're going to think I'm crazy for this, but the squat. The squat, or the good morning, or anything that works, that challenges your spine. Because what happens when we're challenging the spine to stay upright is we're using tons and tons and tons of muscles in the back called the erector spinae. And contrary to popular belief, this is not two muscles that run up like snakes. It's a lot of different muscles. And they all work together to stabilize the spine. And so when we use all of these, like how are we gonna bias one? It's not like a lat where you can like somewhat bias it. Like the only way you're gonna build big erector spinae is by changing the spine. So any movement like that, we can say deadlift, although I don't like it purely because of the range involved and the high fatigue, and this is kind of like talking about how to build the most muscle, not about cool exercises. But when you do something like a squat or a good morning or an RDL or a stiff leg deadlift, any one of these hip hinges will be challenging the erector spinae massively. We could even do a hyperextension or that sort of thing. Sure, we're gonna get something from it, but it just needs to be a hip hinge, man. But that is not everything we need, because there's still more. The back is not complete, and that's where the next thing comes in. We are talking about the Kelso shrug. This is something which I actually started doing before the upper back row, and when I first started doing it, the burn, the challenge, the pain, the fear I had when I'd go for this set. And also the humbling effect, because you use light dumbbells for this, trust me. And so the Kelso shrug is something where you get the bench on an incline and you're just shrugging like your shoulders back and up. And this hits the upper traps, which are like, I don't know if they're any good. But the upper traps, of course, are very important to a physique, because they pop up. When you're wearing a t-shirt, that's the thing that's gonna, change you from like that to like that, right? Like it's a very obvious difference, and it kind of creates that like yoked sort of look. So that's very, very, very important. And now, this last exercise is probably going to be something you didn't expect, but it could possibly be the most important one of all of these, which is very, very confusing. And that muscle is your mouth. It's your digestive system, because we need to eat a lot to build muscle. But not only that, we have to eat a little to remove fat. And when it comes to being able to properly see that back in its true glory, not only do we need the mass to be there, but we need the fat to be removed. We need the field of vision to be no longer blocked by this weird layer of adipose tissue. We need to see every single crevice, every single strain. And a lean back just looks different. It just stands out. Not only do we have like that amazing V-taper because there's less fat around the bottom, but being able to see like the trap strains or like the actual different muscles in the back, that is cool. That is really cool. And that's why that exercise, eating, is something which needs to be programmed properly.